I'm running a $200 Amazon gift card the entire month of July. All you have to do to enter is like this video, be subscribed, turn on your notifications, and leave a comment why you want to win it with your Twitter handle attached. I will announce the winner at the end of the month on Twitter. Online video games are a staple of the industry now, with more and more games turning to online arenas and battlefields for players to compete and socialize in, with some of the heaviest hitters being Overwatch and CSGO, with millions and millions of people playing every single day. Some games just didn't get that lucky and led to most of their buyers, people that actually spent money, walking away soon after their game launched. What's up, guys? Jimmy here. Welcome to Chaos Top 10s, and today, you guessed it, we're going to be counting down the top 10 games that quickly lost most of their player base. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind that this list is not sorted by the amount of players lost, but rather by the hype surrounding the game when it came out, which ultimately made its demise even more upsetting. Also, if you guys get anything from G2A.com, make sure you use promo code CHAOS to get some cash back on any future games or anything you get over there. There is a link at the top of the description. At number 10, we have Evolve. Does anybody remember this game? Barely anyone does, or at least barely anyone talks about it. When the PS4 and the Xbox One first came out, everyone was waiting for this first killer game to show off the new and improved power of the consoles. Evolve took it upon itself to self-proclaim, that it was going to be that game, showing off some cool gameplay featuring awesome monsters and badass hunters, and even allowing you to play on both sides. The problem was, well, that's all you did. You hunt the monster online, and that's it. After being released, gamers quickly found out that Evolve was nothing special and had tons of super annoying and in-your-face microtransactions, leading many to put it down and never come back. The game lost almost all of its player base, and the developers quickly had to make it free to play, which didn't help much either, as the players who joined the club, after not having to drop any money, quickly found out that the game still kind of sucked and that you could have way more fun elsewhere. Although this is one of the best franchises ever, we are going to focus in at number 9 on Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V is an interesting case, to say the least. The Street Fighter series is known for its fast-paced and technical gameplay and super hyped competitive following, as well as millions and millions of casual players. But when Street Fighter V was released in 2016, both followings agreed that the utter lack of content in the game was unacceptable. Seriously, Street Fighter V was absolutely barren upon release, leading to the player base quickly dying and many gamers suspecting that SF5 was developed to be played in tournament settings and nothing else. But even then, Street Fighter V failed to appease the competitive following due to Capcom's decision to change many key aspects of the gameplay in an effort to make it easier for newcomers. Many pro Street Fighter players spoke out on how horrible these decisions actually were, and that the high-level Street Fighter was no longer difficult or special. Due to the lack of content for casual players and the backlash from competitive players, SF5 experienced a 75% drop in player count in just a few days. At number 8, we have Star Wars Battlefront. People definitely weren't happy with the 2015 reboot of Star Wars Battlefront. While the game was beautiful and it was fun for a few hours, gamers were seriously pissed off by the lack of content and the removal of some of the best aspects of the original Battlefront games, as well as the game frequently demanding that you sink even more money into expansions and DLC. Thanks to familiar titles of both Star Wars and Battlefront on the box art, the game sold great, with over 12 million units sold by the end of the year. But not many of those actual 12 million have stuck around. Just half a year after the game's release, the player count took a huge dive down to almost 80,000, and it kept on falling, even after the release of the expansions. Sure, there's still people playing Battlefront, but the current player count is definitely embarrassing to EA and DICE, who have to really blow people away with Battlefront 2 if they don't want to repeat the flop that was this game. Talk about a game that was hyped beyond belief before it came out. At number 7, we have Tom Clancy's The Division. This game was, like I said, super hyped thanks to Ubisoft's annoying tendency to show off demos that didn't actually line up with the game that comes out. The Division was no different. A gameplay trailer that showed off better visuals, deeper gameplay, and certain gameplay aspects that just weren't in the game at all, and buyers of The Division were pissed off and extremely let down once it came out in March of 2016. Despite selling fantastically, only about 7% of the player base remained just after 3 months. While the game itself was okay, it was marketed to be so much more, and that is always a recipe for disaster in the gaming industry. Let me ask you this. Why can't game companies just advertise what we're getting and stop misleading us, the customers? What's so hard about that? Misleading the gaming community never ends well. Okay, number 6 is a case of an amazing game, but it still made this list. Fallout 4. Fallout is one of the biggest open-world RPG game franchises ever. RPGs are meant to be played for hours and hours and hours, with gamers sinking hundreds, even thousands of hours into Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. With the massive hype surrounding Fallout 4 before the release, it seemed that this game was about to see the same kind of success. While it got good reviews and sold pretty well, Fallout 4 was disappointing. It didn't really have many new things to do, and players found themselves going back to previous titles in the series, especially after the release of The Witcher 3, a vastly superior open-world RPG. As it stands right now, Fallout 4's average daily count on Steam is around 30,000, a huge drop from the almost 500,000 peak at launch. In fact, Fallout New Vegas has a growth rate that is around 25% better than Fallout 4's on Steam, meaning that the Fallout title from 2010 is bringing in 25% more players than the game that came out less than 2 years ago. Something wrong there. Another game that was just super hyped with the demo at number 5, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Now, Resident Evil has seen tons of shifts throughout the years, with RE5 and 6 definitely straying away from what fans actually wanted from the franchise, leading tons of players to ditching the series altogether. RE7 was released in 2017 and took the series back to its horror roots and was critically acclaimed at launch and sold very well. Even single-player games aren't safe from massive player drops. The RE series is known for being super replayable and filled with secrets to keep the achievement hunters going for months on end after launch. Unfortunately, RE7 didn't deliver on this aspect, and after just a few weeks on the market, only 10% of the original player base remained. In fact, many gamers weren't even around for the first DLC release, which was pretty bad. It actually put a bigger dent in the player base than the initial one. Hopefully, Resident Evil 8 can fix these issues if we ever get one. Oh man, Titanfall. At number 4, we have the first Titanfall game. It was innovative as hell, but it fell victim to an unlucky launch that ultimately doomed it. A blend of giant mech combat and infantry sci-fi battles similar to Call of Duty, Titanfall was really the first of its kind. It was supposed to be the first truly next-gen game for the Xbox One. Well, the game was pretty shy on content with limited customization, not a whole lot of online modes, and a campaign that was flat out just not good. Not to mention the pretty unstable launch for the online functions, leading to players being frustrated with the constant disconnects and a complete lack of anti-cheat on the PC release. The game sold close to 3 million units on Xbox One, but just a few months after its release, it wasn't uncommon to see less than 2,000 people online, and even less on Xbox 360 and PC. That, my friends, is a fall from grace. This number 3 slot was, for all intents and purposes, a failure. We have Battleborn. The online FPS Battleborn made the mistake of launching just weeks before the vastly superior Overwatch and found itself as a free-to-play game within just a couple months after being sold for $60 in a desperate attempt to keep itself relevant. Sure, the game was a flop from the start, with the Steam charts logging the game's all-time player high count at 12,000, but even after making the game free-to-play, Battleborn has sunk all the way down to an average peak player count, are you ready? 350 people per day. Plus, it's not uncommon for the game to dip down to less than 100 players online, sometimes even 0. I guess that's what happens when you try to compete with the juggernaut that is Overwatch. Okay, you knew this was going to be on here, you just didn't know where. At number 2, we have No Man's Sky. And the game, managed to make it so many negative top 10s that we put it on so many top 10s. And it deserves every one of them. From the constant lies from the developers to the bugs in the game and the fact that it wasn't fun. No Man's Sky saw a dramatic drop in player base shortly after launch due to the awesome promises made by the developers. They were lies, actually. It was unlike anything you've ever played before, and it would change the industry forever. Players flocked to get their hands on it, released selling over 740,000 copies when it came out. But after it was revealed that the game was nothing like we were promised, gamers were pissed, and No Man's Sky experienced an 81% drop in player base in just 1 week, and it only got worse. By the end of November 2016, Just a month and a half after the game's release, only 6% of the player base remained. Good riddance in my book. Okay, we've reached that number 1 spot. Let me know if you guessed what it was. Today, we are going to go with For Honor. This game was supposed to be awesome. An online hack and slash game where you could play as an armored knight or a samurai. Sign me up. This was supposed to be a fresh take on online games, and at some points in the game, it's pretty fun. But clearly this new style of game did not catch on. After having an impressive release that made it the best-selling game of February, gamers quickly tossed it aside thanks to the plentiful technical issues that hindered the gameplay and the fact that it just wasn't fun after a few hours. As it stands right now, For Honor only holds about 5% of its original player base, with the game only having an average daily peak of 1,400 people on Steam, which is a huge drop-off from the over 45,000 just a few months ago, and a drop-off on the consoles that was even bigger. Many buyers of the game even organized a boycott of Ubisoft thanks to the epic fail that was The Division and the even bigger epic fail that is For Honor. And there you have it, my friends. Those are 10 games that quickly lost most, if not all, of their player base. Let us know where we got it right or wrong. There's a playlist below if you guys want to check out all the other top 10s that go up on the channel, and we'll be back tomorrow with a brand new one.